You're watching Newsline. Local people, local news.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Newsline. And we are doing something just a little bit different tonight. Our closer look is on the Bonneville School District 93 bond election. Bond and levy elections in Idaho have grown increasingly controversial. Patrons are getting frustrated with the constant requests for property tax increases to support schools. And the District 93 bond election seemed especially cantankerous to us. The no voters of the bond have put up billboards and signs in yards, and they've created a Facebook page, and they've gone on the radio, and they are insisting that the district absolutely does not need this bond to solve overcrowding issues. So we're going to put it to the test. Joining me right now is the Superintendent, Chuck Shackett. Dr. Shackett, a quick disclaimer. Will you make any money doing this show tonight? Did we pay you anything?
Absolutely nothing.
Because we've already been asked.
And if the bond passes, I do not get any bonuses.
Okay, and did you buy any of this time tonight?
I did not.
There you go. That's the first disclaimer, and the second one for me is I live in Blackfoot, my kids are raised, and I'm in no way connected to School District 93. So we are taking the Vote No pamphlet that is being distributed all over the county and asking Dr. Shackett to respond to each and every assertion tonight. So there we go. Let's begin. Dr. Shackett, this is the third time the district has asked patrons for a bond. Why do you need it?
Well, as people can see, that we've had tremendous growth in the district. I came on 14 years ago, and we were just over 6,000 students. We now have 12,000 students, and so we're the fastest growing district in the state. And so it's clear that we've got to do something with all these people moving in. So the first bond we ran was a little too much. The last bond, it failed by 1%. And so that's why we're coming right back out with the same bond, because we strongly believe that the majority of people want this new high school. Okay,
very good. Will there be two bonds that immediately follow this if this one passes?
This is actually, since '04, the fifth bond that we will be running.
Okay.
We passed 4 previously, but this is the first one that's raising taxes. And I think that's why there's so much resistance. People believe, well, this is the first of 3. No, this is the fifth of 5. And so we're going to run this bond. Hopefully it'll pass. Future bonds, we look at one probably 7 years from now for a middle school. Because right now, we took care of the middle school problem. In '06, we dropped the 6th graders down to the middle school level. And at that point, it freed up a lot of space at the middle school. And next year, we will be at capacity at the middle school. Right now, we're hundreds over capacity at the high school. So the need is at the middle school, at the high school, and not the middle school right now.
All right. Now, do you think this will do anything then? Will this election do anything for K through 8, or does K through 8 even need anything done?
Well, we're growing at all levels. The overcrowding is at the high school buildings right now. But as I've said, since '04, we have taken care of the elementary and the middle school as the best we can, because we have been growing at nearly 4% every year. And so as we build the new high school, at that point, the middle schools will start to be crowded. And so we'll drop the trailers down from Hillcrest over to Sand Creek and from Bonneville over to Rocky Mountain Middle School. And then we will also have some at the elementaries. But we will not need to run a bond, we don't believe, until probably 2013 for a middle school. And at that point, we might look at some high school additions. And at that point, we might look at adding on to the high school that will be built in '18, because that will be a 1,500 student high school with the capacity to grow to 1,800. But the interesting thing is, contrary to all the misleading information, if the market value growth continues as it is now, we strongly believe that in 2023, if we do run a bond for the middle school, probably can do it without raising the tax levy rate.
If this bond passes, you could do 2023.
If the market value percentage growth continues the same. And because that's how we built the 6 elementary schools. People don't realize we built 6 elementary schools, 3 libraries, 2 cafeterias, a gym, a beautiful performing arts center at Hillcrest. We did all of those projects. We didn't raise the tax levy rate at all. That was a promise that Craig Lords kept. But now the market has dropped. We have a huge high school to build. We need to raise the tax levy rate just a little. It would be $4.92 per 100,000 home value per month. But if the market continues the way it is, we can probably run the bond in 2023 for middle school without a tax levy rate like we have with the other 4.
You can only hope that might happen, but you never know, do you? So now, is this the exact bond for the 3rd time?
No. It is the second time we've run the $56.1 million bond for the new high school. The first time it was $92 million because at that point we asked for everything we knew we'd need. And through all of our committees and research, it's been proven we needed those things. But because it was just too much of a tax burden, we went to the 56.1 for the high school, and that's the same bond we ran in March. We'll be running next week.
Could you build a new middle school, move the 9th graders down, add on to the elementary schools without a tax increase?
Absolutely not. And you know, that seems to be the going alternative that's been out there. And as we had a committee, a community committee, and they more no voters than yes voters. And so when they looked at all options, probably 18 to 20 options, and probably the one they looked at the most that was not selected was dropping the 9th graders down. And let me just share the problem with that. Right now, if we were to build a 1,200 student middle school, or we call it a junior high, and drop the 9th graders down, so we'd have 7th, 8th, and 9th graders at the new junior high, a 1,200 student junior high, it would cost $43 million to build that junior high. But the day that it opens, it would be full, and the 9th graders now gone from the high school, the first day at the high schools would be 200 students over capacity. So as the committee looked at this and had all the facts, they said this will not solve the problem, plus it costs $43 million. But, so, if they wanted to do it right, we'd have to build a 1,500 student junior high, and when it opened, it wouldn't be a capacity, and it would solve the high school problem, but it would be $53 million for that middle school. So building a high school being 56.1, after you looked at all the information, 81% of this committee said, well, it's a no-brainer. It has to be the high school because all other ones are short-term solutions. And then we did a survey. And the community, we said, here are the top 3. What do you prefer? By far, the majority by a long was build the high school. So it's what the community wants. And I think it showed that in the last election. 65% of the people said we want it.
In fact, didn't you lose that election by just 65 votes? Is that right?
If 69 more people would have come and voted yes and no one else came and voted no, it would have passed.
And that's because we have to have a supermajority.
Every no vote takes 2 yes votes to counter.
Why don't we just build more standalone classrooms? You've already got some. Let's just throw some more trailers out there.
You know, that is a solution. Can we add a 9th grade center? Sure we can. Can we add this lower campus concept? Yes, we can. Can we bring in more portables? Yes, we can. It's the same concept. And that was discussed. That was discussed. There were no legitimate options and proposals that were not discussed. And after you look at that, it does nothing. Just to give you an example, right now at the high schools, this is a funny fact. Well, it's not funny for girls.
Right.
Okay. But if you take the number of toilet seats in the girls' restrooms, and you factor in the number of girls in the 2 high schools, there's 1 toilet seat for every 48 girls in our high schools.
Yeah, it's like that at a lot of sports stadiums, I've noticed. It's a bad statistic.
But if you were to add on this lower campus or all these extra classrooms, it would still create the same problem in the core of the school for the hallways, the commons, the lunchroom, library, all of it would have the same problem. But if you wanted to do it right, if you wanted to expand, add classrooms at Bonneville and Hillcrest and do it right, the architects said it would be over $60 million to add on to our 2 high schools. And they'd be super high schools, but it wouldn't solve the problem. And if you can spend less money and build a brand new 3rd high school, that's why the committee said that's what we want to do.
This is the way we want to go, and it was 80% of the committee.
Exactly.
The vote on that.
81%.
81%. We're going to take a quick break, come back. We've got a few more questions to ask him off of this pamphlet from the Vote No people. Be right back. Okay, welcome back, everyone. This is a different kind of a newsline tonight because we're talking about School District 93, the bond election that's scheduled for next week, and it has proved to be pretty controversial. So the superintendent of the school is joining us tonight, and we're asking him the questions that are directly off the pamphlet page of the Vote No on the bond election. So we're making him answer these assertions that they have on this pamphlet. How How about this one? The debt for the district is going to double.
Yeah. Let me explain how debt works. The law allows you to take 5% of your overall market value, and the Bonneville District is the 5th largest in the state. Our market value is probably $3.2 billion. Okay, so 5% of that is about $160 million. So the law allows us to bond for up to $160 million. The bonds that we have out that built the 6 elementaries and all those projects that we built without raising the tax levy rate amounts to about $56 million. This current bond that we're running is about $56 million. So that will put us at about $104 million in debt. We'll have $48 million still to go in order to do other projects. So we're not maxing out on debt. I mean, we can triple the debt we currently have. So it's really, it's a factor that doesn't really mean anything, but I guess as a scare tactic, it works. But we listened to the community, and we lowered this bond down to $56 million. And so we feel we're just fine in our debt capacity. And every day that goes by, well, not every month that goes by, we're paying down our debt, and our market value is going up. So that percentage is going to increase to well over $160 million.
We're getting a lot of alternative schools now, charter schools, for example. Won't that take care of some of our overcrowding problem?
You know, you'd think so, but it's just the opposite that happens. Unless the new charter can have a 1,500-seat high school,
that would be big,
and all of our students go into that, it might be helpful. But the reality is, while charters do many great things, when it comes to the students becoming either junior high level or high school level, they tend to come back to the Bonneville School District because we offer more advanced classes, more opportunities, more extracurricular. And so what you find is you did not have them K through 7 or 8, and then now you get them. And so it's always hard to determine how many students from the charters are going to come in. And then you have the ones that just can't make it and get non-sanctioned, and then you get those coming in. So
you have to make sure there's a place saved, whether they're coming to the table or not.
If they
there's got to be a desk available for them.
Exactly. If they live in our boundaries, we have a legal right to educate them and put them in a classroom. And so it's very difficult when these students in charters, you know, decide, I want to go to the high school now, I want to be in band, choir, or all these things. Then they come to us, and, and we're not always knowing that they're going to come.
Okay, very good. I'm going to have them bring up the, we've got some video of the location, you know, the proposed location for this new school. All right, so we're kind of out in a farm country, and to my back, as I'm standing here looking at this, is a big subdivision. Now, there's a lot of concern from the people who live there that you're putting a school in their backyard, and it's going to increase the traffic, obviously, and that there will be a serious problem with traffic congestion.
Yes, and no question that there's an issue. Wherever you put a large high school in a city like this, there's going to be an issue. And people instantly, I don't want it by my house, but you know, put it by my neighbor's house, not by mine. And so we knew that there was an issue. And so we said, look, if the neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhoods to the 135 acres that we have, we'll let you decide how to lay out this school, however that you feel would best benefit your neighborhoods. So there's really one intersection and 2 roads, and it's Ladino and how that butts up into the school property, and 9th North and how some of those roads butt up. And then we have, of course, the intersection at Crowley and First Street. Okay, so for the Ladino and the 9th North, we let them decide. We had 4 meetings, and architects came every time, and they voted, and then they determined exactly where to put the ball fields, the tennis courts, all those kind of amenities that would almost make it ridiculous for the road and bridge to want to put a road through there. And in fact, Kevin Eckersell and Dave Radford, the county commissioner, Dave's is over Road and Bridge. They came to all the meetings. It was wonderful. I just respected them coming and helping us so much. They really helped to engender trust with our neighbors, because they were able to ask them directly, what are you going to do on Crowley and First Street? And so Kevin talked a little bit about this. He said they did a traffic study on Ammon Road and First Street and Ammon. And in a 24-hour period of time, it showed that between 10,000 and 12,000 vehicles went through that intersection in a 24-hour period. And what are they doing now? They're putting up a signal there, if you see it, on First Street and Ammon. So then they did a study over, because of the committee meetings that they were coming to and the concerns of the neighborhood, they did a study on First Street and Crowley. And what they found was, over the same 24-hour period of time, only 4,000 cars were coming through. So you're dealing with 4,000 at that intersection and 12,000 at Ammon and Iona. I mean, Iona, Ammon, and First Street. And so what they have to do is get tax federal dollars to help build these signals. So there has to be criteria, threshold that they have to meet. And the threshold at First and Ammon, they met it, so they were able to get some money.
So we can get that. All
but
right.
Crowley and First Street, it's going to take a lot of time before it gets to that point. But I think people, even when Hillcrest was being built, the concern of Sunnyside. Well, you've seen what's happened to Sunnyside and the development that's come, and it's...
Yeah, it didn't seem to stop any new businesses.
It didn't stop it.
All
So
right.
we're concerned about that, but we're
paying attention to it.
We're paying attention.
All right, let's take another quick break, and we'll be right back with a few more questions. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're talking about the bond election that's coming up, very controversial for District 93. And I've got to tell you, Dr. Shackett, the number one question I have been nailed with over and over again is, do we have to go to split sessions? Either way, if the bond passes, if the bond doesn't pass, are we seeing split sessions in our future?
And the answer is, it depends. Okay, but there's some factors that we have no control over. And so right now, we believe that the current 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, when that new school opens, will be 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th graders. So you take the amount of students there, you move them up, and if we have no more than a total of 3 to 4% growth in those grade levels, we can go till 2018 and open that school without having to go to split sessions. So I would say a 90% for sure, but if there are some developments where all of a sudden all these high school or 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th graders move into these homes, it's going to be tough. So right now, 90% no, we don't have to if the bond passes. But then they say, well, if it doesn't pass. Well, if we're going to invest on trailers and all this money to go to split sessions, you know, the 2017 year is the year we're really going to be worried about, because the new school is going to open. Can we just get by? That's where it comes into a decision that the school board and the community is going to have to make. And it might have to start earlier if the bond isn't going to pass. And that's not a threat, it's just reality. But overall, I say if the bond passes, I think we can get by if there isn't a sudden growth of that age level moving into our
And if the bond doesn't pass, it's more likely to have split sessions. And if we had to have split sessions, what age group would that be?
We haven't had time to figure
Sure.
it out, but it just doesn't work very well at the high school with sports and things.
Sure.
It would probably more likely affect the middle school, which will hurt their sports, but there's a little more passion at the high school level, I think.
Let me bring up a graphic that we built, and it shows the other high schools, the new fancy ones that have been recently. And explain to me, if you can, why ours, right now, the District 93 is at $55 million, but Rigby did a high school with a performing arts center for $44, and Madison did one for $47. For $55, we're not going to have a field or a performing arts center?
And that's a difficult one to explain, but when you see it in paper, you can figure it out. And right now, believe it or not, the prices for construction go up 4% every single year. And so if you look at the dates on that, Rigby High School was it was bid in 2010. The perfect time to bid, because 7, 8, 09 was kind of climbing, and then it just crashed. And so they were able to build their 275,000 square foot school at $167 a square foot. Madison bid in 07, the worst time, and it's a 250,000 square foot, and it came in with, adjusted to inflation, at $176 a square foot. Well, our bid, if it goes out next year, our architects believe our school is going to be, minus the auditorium, is going to be $218,000 versus the $250 and the $275, and it will come in just for the school, comparing apples to apples, at $157 a square foot. So it'll actually be coming in less if you adjust for inflation. Now the reason, well, how come it's so much more overall price, and you're not even having an auditorium? Because what we're looking at, you're comparing the amounts for Rigby and Madison, their total costs. They're done. They know exactly how much it costs. But we have to build in a $4 million contingency in case surprises
might go up.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
And so that contingency takes part of that.
Right.
Then we also have site development. We have to do parking lots, sports fields, other areas that that the other two schools didn't have to because they were using existing ones.
Right.
And then the final one is we have to get desks, chairs, all the amenities within the school
Right.
where they
Brand
were
new,
just
transferring over from an old
so
school.
it all equals out. In fact, we're less per square foot than those other two schools.
We just have a few seconds left. The election's Tuesday. The polls are open 8 to 8. Is
8
that
to
correct?
8.
And how do people find out where to go vote?
Just wherever they vote in the other regular
normal election.
Normal elections, just get online. We have it online, and it's also at the county elections office.
Okay, and if you don't know where to vote, just call the school nearest you. Call the principal at school nearest you, and they'll be able to tell you where to go. Can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. I hope that has answered a lot of the questions that have been on the pamphlets and on the Facebook page of the No Voters. But I think I'm safe in saying if you have a question still, call.
Please call.
Please call. All righty then. That's our report, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow night. Good night.